All right, Daniel, so like here's the last one that you just hit. Yeah, and there we go, man. So you're beautifully on that plane line pretty much ever since you tried to do it here tonight during our lesson. And when we compare it to that first swing we saw tonight, you're pulling off exactly what you're trying to do instead of being above that line, you know, where you started tonight. So this is beautiful. It's just that, again, you couldn't quite get the timing of it very well tonight in terms of how to start that ball out to the right. But the great news is, buddy, when you first started working on it, yeah, see, they were all going out to the right, like that, because you're on that plane line so much better. So that's the good news. And then the good news is, when I asked you to take the second little piece of golf medicine to swing to the right, now turn your hands over earlier, sure enough, the balls are over there. So they're not perfect, but it shows you were pulling off what you're trying to do. You just weren't pulling it off in a perfect fashion to create a perfect ball flight. Does that make sense? And I didn't want to bother you with the downward thing too much, you know, because you were kind of topping them all, hitting them a little thin. But you've done that enough in the last few months. You know the good feel there. You have that divot out front, and it shoots up in the air and goes really far. Okay? So that's what I like about that tonight, Daniel. And this is all in answer to your question, how can you know when you're on your own if you're on that plane line or not? You see that ball was starting more left. Whereas when you got it on plane, and you watch the TV on the U.S. Open this weekend, you'll see all the tour players, when they hit it from this angle, it looks like it starts to the right. Like these were for you when you start getting on that plane line more and more. Like that. That's what you want. Like you saw me hit all those. Okay? And then, oh yeah, let me do this little thing for you. Remember, this is a great way to remember it. This is when you're swinging to the right. And if you leave the face up, which is what you did beautifully at the start tonight, and like I hit some, kind of stays out to the right. But if you swing it to the right, what feels like to you on the right, and you square it up better, then it starts to the right and has that drawback for you. Draws back to the middle, and it goes the farthest for us. And then this is what you don't want, is this right here, where you're swinging above the plane line. It's called outside in by some people. It starts left and stays left, and that was the first swing we saw in the video tonight for you. But this is what you want. Right there. All right. Any questions about that? Okay. So now, what questions would you have about your putting and chipping? That you're having trouble with that a little bit, because we don't have time to really work on it. But what kind of questions might you have?
When I was just chipping over there, I noticed it was harder for me to control when I chipped downhill. Like I chip and then it rolls on the green downhill.
Right. What club were you hitting? Yeah, that was a chip. So that would mean that that's probably going to be a pitch. Rather than trying to chip that severely downhill thing when you had no green to work with, if it goes too far, then that means it's not a chip, it's a pitch. Then you have to switch to your sand wedge or your lob wedge. Which one is it? Sand wedge. Switch to your sand wedge, pop it up in the air and land it, maybe even in the fringe, and not have it run too far to get to that hole. Yeah, so it won't stop down that hill. That's that gravity thing getting us. Keep pulling it down that hill. Now, if you're going from the other side of the green up to that hole, then you could chip it along all that putting green up to that hole pretty easily. So yeah, so that'll be frustrating if you try to chip it down that hill. When there's no, if you can chip it all the way down, like if there was a hole on the other side of the green over there, and you were going to that hole, then you could chip it and run along the ground. It could still be perfect, go the perfect distance. All right, but yeah, if it's that severely downhill and you don't have much green to work with, there's a good chance you need to pitch it. All right, man. We'll stop there for tonight. This is Joel Suggs. I sure enjoyed meeting you down at the Cincinnati Golf Show this weekend and showing you your swing on the 2D equipment that I have. And so I want to take about 2 or 3 minutes to just show you around Meadowlinks. This is the studio I use in the winter for all my students. You see there's the down-the-line camera angle for our 2D equipment. And then we have the face-on camera angle also. And then what we also have here is 3D equipment to where I can show you your swing from 6 different camera angles with this 3D equipment. And we can get your swing from down to the 1/120th of a second in terms of exactly what your hips, shoulders, and hands are doing in the swing. And then also, I have the most realistic hitting curve I've ever seen from puttersedge.com. So when you hit your full shots, it feels as realistic as possible. And then I have 3 different green speeds for you to practice your putting. 9.5 on the step meter, 10.5 on the step meter, and 12.5 on the step meter. That's benefited my students tremendously. And then also I have a lot of learning aids like this Smart Stick. You can see the rest of those learning aids over here in my bag that we can work on to help you learn the certain fields in your golf swing that you and I both want. And then also I help my students a lot with their equipment through the winter. This is a frequency analyzer where we twang your club and it gives us a reading here. And then also we plot your whole set, each club on these lines to see if the set is really matched or not. Quite often they aren't, and it helps my students tremendously when they find out what clubs are the offending clubs. Then if we get tired of being indoors and we want to go outdoors and hit some, we can do that. It's my daughter, Ellie. Good to see you. I haven't seen her in weeks. No wonder you've been gone, Ellie. You've been out here playing in the snow all this time. But this is our natural turf area. This is closed until April, as you can see. But it's a fantastic area where we can step outside and hit some balls and get some real ball flight. Or, if we get pretty satisfied that things are looking better on the video here, we're kind of cooped up inside and want to go outside, we can step on out and hit balls and see real ball flight for about 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, however long you and I can stand the cold, out into the air, and we see them land at these different flags. I have a yardage book for this driving range. It's the first one I've ever seen in my life where we know exactly what it is for the front, back, and middle of each green. And again, the covered area here is heated, so we stay out there for about 5, 10, 15 minutes, like I said. It enables us to see some ball flight, and then we get satisfied that things are looking the way we want, and we come back inside, take off our coat, and look again at the video equipment to see how your swing's looking, to make sure that you understand it. And then notice too, my exercise ball up top here, and then also, so I help my students a lot with their fitness through the winter, and then I will help you also with your sports psychology, with your golf psychology from the golfpsych.com people down in Texas. That's helped my students tremendously a lot over the years too. So again, I sure enjoyed meeting you down at the Cincinnati Golf Show this weekend. I look forward to seeing you again out here this summer at Meadowlinks, or even right now in the winter. I have a lot of people that work on their games with me right through the winter. Check out more information about the things I do to help you at joelsuggs.com. Take care.